Hey everybody, my name is Jaleissa and we're back with another episode of Bomb Mom Podcast. I'm so glad that I have a guest host with me today. Girl, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hey, so I am Jaleesa Speight. Shout out to all the bomb moms out there. And so just a little bit about me. I actually live in Michigan, close to Detroit, Michigan, born and raised in Saginaw. And 3 years ago, I found out that I was going to be embarking on the magnificent journey, I guess I'll say, of motherhood. And so I had always wanted to write a book, even back to like middle school, early high school, and started a lot of manuscripts, but never really finished it all the way through. And so once I found out about me becoming a mom, I was suddenly inspired and had like kind of found my passion that kind of gave me the courage and the motivation that I needed to kind of finish it through. And so let me reintroduce myself. I am Jaleesa, the author of You Are My Sunshine, and Sunshine is spelled S-O-N. And the book is about kind of just that special bond between mother and son that doesn't get highlighted enough, in my opinion, as well as it kind of encourages children to be the best version of themselves while letting them know that they matter and they are loved. So super excited to be able to talk to you today.
I absolutely love that. And it's crazy because I always used to call my son, my sunshine, spelled like that. So when I saw the title of your book, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I agree with you. I feel like a lot of relationships between mother and daughter, father and son are highlighted, but not so much with mother and son. And if it is, it's more of a, oh, you're a mama's boy, and it's like a bad look type of thing.
It's like a negative connotation with it. And so it's funny because as I was actually, preparing for the arrival of my son, and I was, looking for books because I was trying to get his room and nursery and all that good stuff together. I didn't see anything that kind of like was something that I wanted him to be able to read. And I'm a big person, I believe that representation is everything. And so I think it's super important for children to be able to not only have books that highlight love, but also be able to just know that, there are people that look like them in the books that they're reading as well. So I think that's super, super important. But then too, between you and me, I actually never intended on this being a book. So I actually literally one day just sat down and started writing what was going to be like an open letter. And so when I was writing that open letter, a couple of days after I read it, I was just planning on like hanging it on his wall or something. But after I read it, I was like, this may be able to help other people. And so I reached out to a publishing company that I got the name from one of my social media friends. And 6 to 9 months later, there you have, You Are My Sunshine.
Wow, that's so awesome. You said that you had originally you always knew that you wanted to write a book. Did you always want to write a children's book, or was like an adult book more where you were going with it?
So writing a children's book in the very beginning was kind of the easier path, I guess I'll say, simply because of the fact that it was like right then and there what I was going through, kind of transitioning into motherhood and things of that nature. But I never had the intention on writing a children's book or being a children's book author. I always thought I wanted to go more so down the lines of, motivational and kind of inspirational books for young girls, and kind of just do like more so like youth and young adult type books. As I was going through, like my college days, that's what I thought I was ultimately going to end up. And so the fact that I am now a children's book author is crazy because, like I said, it literally kind of came out of left field, but it's opened so many doors. I love kids and love being able to, talk to them, and there's something about their energy. The fact that we've basically been in the house for the past 2 years with this pandemic has kind of put a little damper in things, but it has now, since things are opening back up and things like that, it's kind of allowed me to be able to get back out there and get back into schools, do like virtual readings and things like that. So being able to just kind of pick up off of their energy.
That's awesome. So did you also do the illustrations for your book, or did you have somebody else do illustrations for your book?
So I actually worked with the illustrator through the publishing company. So when I actually I made up my mind that I was going to go through this process, I literally had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know the first thing about anything. And so I'm one of those people, I'm always down to try new things. And so I was just kind of like, I'll figure it out as I go. And so working with the publishing company that I work with, they're a hybrid publishing company. And so they were really, really great to work with through the process. I did do my own like due diligence and research on trying to find like different illustrators. And it was just like it didn't make sense financially for me at that time. Trying to pay an independent illustrator. Now I kind of know different things since I've gone through the process, but I worked with one of their illustrators to be able to bring the book to life.
Okay, so that's like so cool. That's so cool. I have always also thought about writing a book. I never considered like a children's book, but I've been like through a lot of stuff. So I thought maybe if I could write a book, like I'd be able to like influence somebody else or just motivate or whatever. But I really do think that children's books are great. On one of my last episodes, I was actually talking with a friend of mine, and her friend is in the process of getting her children's book published. And she wrote a children's book that is it's based on like single parent families and that connection that she has with her daughter, which I also thought was really cool, because like you said, there's not a lot of children's books that show different scenarios. And it's really important for young children to be able to see people of the same skin tone in books and movies, and also their same situation. You know, I only have a mom, not a dad, and that book shows this type things. You know, I think that's important for kids.
Yeah, especially because it just, kind of reinforces that even though your situation may be different from, one of your friends at school, that doesn't make you less than. So
yeah, it's normal. It's still okay.
Right. And I think that's super important, regardless of, what age you start trying to reinforce that into them and kind of instill that into them. I think that's super important. Actually, I think it's super important earlier rather than later.
Agreed. Yeah, because I feel like I talk so much about this on the podcast, but we so much, what's the word that I'm looking for? I feel like we take so much of our childhood and we bring it into our adulthood, whether we know it or not. So if you are feeling like from a very early age that you're able to relate with shows, books, whatever, that are more like you, it almost makes you grow up not feeling so much like an outcast.
I agree. And so I'll tell you a quick story. So when I was actually in 6th grade, so like before, high school, college, I never really thought about writing a book or being an author. When I was in 6th grade and all the way up until that point, my goal was I was going to be a doctor. I was either going to be an obstetrician or a pediatrician, but I knew I was
oh my God, I was going to be a pediatrician too.
And so I actually in 6th grade, I changed it to being like a pediatrician. Simply because I didn't think that I was going to be able to have the strength to like share with parents or things of that nature if there was something that was like permanently wrong or something with their child. I'm a super sensitive person, so I didn't think that was going to be like a good pathway. But I still wanted to go down, the medical route. And I had a counselor in 6th grade that actually told me I should have a plan B ready, because it was like super, super hard to become a doctor. And through I've never forgot that conversation that I had with her, and I'm almost 32 years old now. And so it's not to say that comment actually made me doubt myself. It's just that there was another path that I hadn't opened the door up yet to, as far as what path I was going to end up going down. But it's important in children's, just in children's books, just with children in general, if you are an important factor in their life, you're a part of that village, that they look up to you, that you find as many ways as you can to just inspire them and to pour into them, positivity, encouragement, because there's so much negative that they see on TV, that they're just exposed to just in the world that we live in. And so it's super, super important to just make sure that they know that, they're protected as much as possible, by their village.
Yeah, agreed. Totally. And so give me like a quick little rundown, like what is your book about?
Yeah. So it is a children activity book, if you will. And so it literally just kind of walks through, what I promised to my son as far as providing him unconditional love, as far as promising to always be there with him, and just making sure that he knows that you're never alone. Like, it's you and I together. We're a team. It's kind of like us against the world. And so it kind of just walks through, those promises that I'm making to him, me encouraging him that he can do whatever he wants to do. So there's different environments or different scenarios, if you will, in the book, that kind of walk through, but it all is along that same message. And then at the end of the book, what's really cool is that it gives a list of different activities that I used to do with him when he was young, because I wrote this when he was about 3 months old. So it was kind of leading up to, as he was going to get older, things that I was excited that we could do together. So I like that part about it. And then from the time that he was in the womb, I used to sing this. It kind of like goes to the beat of "You Are My Sunshine," but it's not the actual words. And so that song is actually in the back of the book as well.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and so it's now that I have a daughter. So my daughter was born in 2020, and so I used to actually sing that same song to her too. So now when we read the book together, both of them kind of remember hearing that song. So that's kind of cool too.
How beautiful is that?
Thanks. And so since the book has actually been published back in 2019, we now have a coloring book that goes along with it. We have children's masks that go along with the book, Mommy and Me t-shirts, as well as, I don't know if you can see, but I'm also wearing a You Are My Sunshine.
I love that.
So those will be coming out really soon. So it's allowed us to just kind of take the book and kind of run with it, if you will, as far as just trying to spread the message as much as possible.
Yeah, and also turn it into a brand. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm business minded, so you're saying all these things, and I'm like, yeah, girl.
Yeah, and literally, when I always tell people, because now I actually am getting into coaching other authors and helping them along their journey. Because one of the things about it is that I never want someone to, quote unquote, have the same experience that I did, because kind of walking into unfamiliar territory and uncharted territory is scary just to begin with. And some people don't have, enough of that self-starter. They're not enough of a self-starter and a risk taker to be able to say, okay, I'm just going to try to figure it out. So I've kind of made it one of my goals now that I kind of understand what to do. And like I said, hindsight being 2020, if I could go back and kind of start all over again, I would definitely make different decisions than what I did. But you take every lesson, everything that you go through is a lesson learned. And so now with my author coaching, what I do is, if you have a book idea, if, maybe you just need help brainstorming things, maybe you don't even know what to do after you started writing. That's where I can come in, help you, be able to connect you with, editors and publishers, walk you through the self-publishing process if that's something that you choose to do. Make sure that if you do decide that you want to use like a publishing company or try to pitch yourself to a literary agent for a traditional publishing house, just making sure that you understand all of those aspects, because 3 years later, I'm still learning lots and lots of things about the entire process.
Oh, I'm sure. What's been the hardest part of the entire process so far? I mean, you kind of are done with the process. You're kind of expanding at this point, but like in the book writing and getting it published, and like, what was that process like?
So to be honest with you, the hardest part of the process, the way that I went about it, was the waiting. You get so much anticipation and so much excitement because, you're literally the person that, quote unquote, is like the mastermind behind, bringing the illustrator together. So it's your words, and you're literally telling them word for word that I want this page of the book to look like this. Mm-hmm. And so in your mind, everything makes sense. But when you see things start to come together and you see things like in colored pictures, it's like, okay, well, maybe that's not exactly what I was thinking, but I'm not really sure. So kind of like the waiting aspect for me was super hard, just because I am a person, I'm very proactive, and I'm a planner by
same here.
And so because I'm a planner, sometimes not having total control of the process, because, when you are working with a publishing company, there are different, there's different departments, different people that you have to work with, and there's processes that you have to go through. So, that was something that I definitely had to get used to and be okay with, but it ended up working out for the best. And then me being able to get out of my own way. And so I'm not a, kind of in the front of the camera type of person. I literally am like really a passive person. You wouldn't be able to tell from a business standpoint, because in business, I will put myself out there, but really I'm a homebody. I'm quiet to myself and that kind of thing. So the fact that regardless of what avenue you take when you are writing a book, once you get through the publishing process, marketing and promotion is going to be on you regardless. So it's up to me to be able to get the word out about Sunshine and things of that nature. And so just getting out of my own way and, just kind of coming to terms with the fact that if I really want to share the message, and really kind of do this thing, if you will, that I have to be willing to do what I'm doing right now, sit here and talk to you. So
yeah, see, I can relate to that because I always had a thing about being on camera. Now I don't care because I am like more used to it. But it's weird because like when you're any type of small business that you have, whether it's a book venture, you're selling something, my podcast, whatever, I feel like a lot of it is like you're marketing yourself, you're selling your personality with it.
Right.
So if you're someone like you who's more laid back and not really in the mix of everything, it's almost like intimidating. Like, oh my God, all these people are looking at me because I wrote this book.
It is. And then, what actually has allowed me to kind of get more out of my way is at the end of the day, nothing beats a try but a failure. And so if I don't put myself out there, then I'll never know exactly what level of success I can really reach. So I'm a strong believer that, your level of success is literally only limited by your internal belief. So if I don't believe in me, who else is going to believe in me? If I don't believe in the message of sunshine, how am I going to share that with the world and, make the world believe that, sunshine is super important and that, that's a message that we should be translating to our children. So at this point, it's kind of, all gas, no brakes, and we're just going to go with it and see what kind of happens. Like I said, I do believe that I do believe that the message itself, once you do have the opportunity to read the book and things like that, it kind of all comes together and you really kind of can understand from a mother's point of view, specifically, what I was feeling and what I was kind of going through at that time when I was writing it. So I definitely believe that that comes off of the pages if you read it.
I love that. And mothers' love for their children is like so undeniable and just so strong.
Yeah, I honestly was one of those people that, as I was, coming up and things like that, because I'm the oldest of three. So I have a younger brother.
I'm the oldest of four. So same.
And so like you always hear, people talk about, when you have kids, you'll understand a mother's love is, like no other. And you can never honestly relate to it until you experience it. And so, having those two little people now, I honestly don't remember what life was like without them. So, I had my son when I was 28. I'm like, how did I make it 28 years without him?
So they're just your soul. They're just your whole life, and they become the center of your life. And it's like, what did I even do? What did I fill my time with before these people existed?
Right. And that's actually another thing that I experienced. So I probably like over like the last 6 months have really just started rediscovering, if you will, who I am now that I'm a mom.
Wow, same here, which is why I started the podcast, because I was struggling with it.
Yes, like I was always one of those people that kind of like, not necessarily, I won't necessarily say like no tears, but it was just me. And so, kind of just, did my own thing. I was kind of like in my own world, in my own bubble. And once I had my son, everything at that point literally just shifted to him. And so it was, his needs, his priorities, all of that came first. And so I really struggled with trying to figure out, okay, well, where does Jaleesa fit in? Like, I struggled a lot with mom guilt and trying to figure out, well, is it okay that, he's napping right now and I'm, kind of like doing nothing? Should I be like folding his laundry, like prepping bottles, what should I be doing? So I really struggled with trying to find that balance, especially, when I transitioned back to, my career and work life and things like that. And then once I found out about my daughter, having 2 under 2, I literally had like no idea like where Jaleesa fit into the puzzle at. And so literally over like the past 6 months, because I took a year off after I had my daughter, just kind of focus on family. And so after she turned 1, I was like, okay, it's time to get back on the horse and, do what we set out to do initially. And so now that I have kind of found myself again, I am super, super even more passionate about connecting with moms and things like that, just to let them know, we got this, we're stronger together than we are apart. And so just knowing that there is life after mom. I actually shared a poem on my social media platforms a couple of weeks ago called Surviving Mom. And so that honestly is kind of going to be like the next book venture, I think, is just being able to connect and give moms an outlet.
So like a book for moms, you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
Is your next venture?
It's
I love
probably gonna be the
that.
next venture.
Okay, that's super cool. I was going to ask you if you had any like new ideas or any new books coming or anything. That's awesome. Okay.
Yes, I have that one. And then since my daughter has been born, everybody has been asking me, well, what's her book going to be? And so I've kind of gone back and forth with, well, I don't really want to do like the mother-daughter thing because like we've been talking about, that's kind of already been done. It's kind
Yeah.
of expected. It's already talked about. So I'm definitely a person that likes to do things that are not the normal. And so the next book idea after I kind of do the one for mom will be more so geared towards my daughter. But it'll either be more so like mommy and me type thing from her point of view, or maybe it will be me kind of reflecting back on my childhood, but through her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of different ideas for her, but I think it may take a little bit longer for her book.
That's pretty cool. I do have a question though. So I had a son and a daughter back to back, 2 under 2. Tell me what your take is on like your relationship with like your feelings towards your son versus your feelings towards your daughter. Like, did you have a different bond with them? Did you like, how was that for you?
So I didn't have a different bond with them. The bond was, of course, instant with both of them. But for me, when my daughter was born, especially when you first come home with them, you want to, kind of just do as much mommy and me time as you can, snuggle and things like that. So it was super important for me, especially when my daughter was born, to make sure that I found balance between giving her one-on-one time and giving my son that one-on-one time, because he was 2 years old. And so for him, he had no idea like where this little baby came from.
Mm-hmm.
I left, we left home one day and it was just me, him, and dad. And then we came back home and it was me, him, dad, and sister. And he's like, well, wait a second, where did this little person come from? So he didn't take to her very well in the very beginning.
Okay, my son either.
He didn't know what to do with her. Like he was kind of just like looking. But now that of course she's older and they're like 2 peas in a pod, they literally are like stuck together all the time. And so for me having 2 under 2, it was really just more so about finding that balance to let him know like he was still important. We're just adding to it, but that doesn't take away from anything. So just still trying to find the balance to give him that one-on-one time was the most important for me.
Okay. Yeah. Same here. When it was a little bit different though, when I had my son, my oldest son at 18. So I was like a baby, so, and I was the first one of like my generation in my family to have kids. So when I had my son and he was the baby, of course, everyone loved him. Everybody wanted to spend time. So when I had my daughter right after him, it was almost the opposite. Like people kind of catered to my son because they were like, oh, he's the baby and he just lost his baby spot because his sister was born. And it was more like that. So I kind of felt defensive over my daughter. Like, why are you guys not giving her the love that she deserves, so it was like I kind of felt like guilty that other people were not like treating her, I don't know, like
it's funny that you say that. So when I had my son, he actually came into the family being the baby, but it was because we hadn't had a baby in the family in a long time. And so everybody at that point in time was like super, super excited because it's like, hey, here's this new little person that we all can love on. So he literally, from the very beginning, he got tons of love from everybody. They was coming all from different ways. He was getting it, from all different ways. And so in addition to that, when my daughter came, we were literally in the middle of COVID. And so it was different because nobody was coming to the house. Like she was meeting people, through FaceTime. And so I kind of did have that same thought in the very beginning after she was born, like, hey, wait a second, like you guys all like, came
crowded around
him with love. And, here now we have my daughter and nobody's doing that. But of course the times were different. So it's really kind of sad to say, like, even now after her turning 1, she'll be 2 in August, and we're still introducing her to family because we've literally been in the house for so long. So yeah, I definitely can relate to it on both parts for sure.
Isn't that crazy? I feel like COVID has ruined everything.
I would, if you could have never paid me any amount of money to think that this is where we would be, like, that we would actually like live to see this kind of stuff. You could have never paid me $1 million.
Even when COVID first started and I was working at I worked at a doctor's office. So they were saying like, we're going to start closing. Like this is going to be like a thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. I was the one in there with like, I'm not wearing this mask. I'm not doing this. And then, a couple weeks later I had no job and I'm like, oh, okay, this is for real.
It's and it's so when it first started, like I was like in the beginning of my pregnancy, and so it was weird because I had literally just got diagnosed with influenza B. And so I literally was like in the ER one night, sick with the flu. And then like 2 weeks later, like everything was like shut down and closed. And I'm like, wait a second, like what is going on here? But I would have never thought that it would last as long as it has. Like,
Oh yeah,
I never thought that was a thing, because even now, so like I do everything with the book and things like that. I do that outside of my 9 to 5. And so like even my 9 to 5 job, I work in the online enrollment system arena. I'm an account manager for a tech company, basically. And so we work from home now primarily too. I have to go into the office physically like one day a week, but like our owners of our company were like super, super against that model. And now we've kind of been like forced into that, in addition with like tons of other companies. So it's crazy to think like where we've gone. And then don't even get me started on gas prices.
Oh my God, that's a whole other thing.
Like I'm gonna have to find a bike because I like this is crazy.
Literally,
like, and it's gonna get like worse. Yes, I'm like I can. It's so funny because it really like makes me think like how far we've come and like how old I really am getting, because I can remember like when gas was like $1.69, $1.70. We used to just be able to like joyride and not have to worry about it. And then when gas like went up to $2, we were all looking like, well, wait a second, what's happening? Then when it hit $3, we were like, okay, that's enough. You can stop now. But now that it just keeps on going, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, when I started driving, gas was under $2. It was like $1.89, I want to say, like when I remember filling up my tank. And now I'm driving down the highway and it's like $4.60, $4.70. I'm like, yeah, it is crazy. Thank God I work from home too, and I don't like really go anywhere except to bring my kids to school. But like I've even been trying to not drive as much because it's nuts. It's like $60+ to fill my car.
Yes, I like literally am like making sure that every ride counts. Like when we walk out that door and get in the car, like if we have
I'm only going somewhere I need to go.
Yes, we're not doing no joyride. So we'll be spending a lot of time this summer outside doing walks and playing outside in the yard, but we won't be taking a lot of trips.
I hope that this changes though. I hope that this isn't like what's going to be happening, because I can't take it.
Because I was like super, super excited, especially with them being older, to be able to, do like actual trips and vacations. That's one of the things that I wish with my son when he was younger, that we would have did more of taking vacations. We didn't do that. And then of course we've been stuck in the house for the past 2 years. So now that, he and she are both a little bit older, I was like, okay, yeah, we're going to be able to do this, and this summer. And now with gas prices, it's like, okay, well, fingers crossed that it doesn't stay this way for long, because I was looking forward to that, for something, to do this year.
I know, same. In the summertime, I do like day trips, and sometimes we'll do little like weekend getaways, which is, sometimes if it's closer, it's easier to drive than fly. But at this point, like we might as well book a ticket, because oh my goodness.
That's so funny you say that, because like that's one of the things that, so I wouldn't say I have a fear of flying, but I don't like to fly. Like if I have a choice, I want to drive. Just because
I love flying. People think I'm crazy. I love everything about it. The airport, the plane ride.
So did you fly a lot when you were like younger, or?
I did, yeah. I had an uncle who lived in Texas, so we went back and forth a lot, and there was times that I went by myself. So at a very young age, I was already getting used to flying alone. So it's like not a thing for me.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, I went on my first airplane ride. I was in a junior sorority in high school, and we took a trip to a college tour. And so we flew, I live in Michigan, so we flew from Michigan to Texas, and that was in like probably my junior year of high school. And that was my first time being on the airplane ever.
Wow.
And so I started late in the game, and I still haven't gotten used to it. But if I have to, I definitely will. So yeah, I'm hoping that they get to experience, that kind of stuff too.
That's so cool. I hope you guys have a good summer, regardless of this crazy world that we're living in.
I know, right? Hopefully you guys can still do your day trips, because like that for me was like what I look forward to, especially like working from home, having that flexibility to just say, like, hey, let's go do this, and then we'll come back later, and mommy can work, and you guys can play in the house, but let's go enjoy outside while it's nice.
While it's nice out.
People out. Right.
Yeah, agreed. So real quick, before I wrap it up, is there anything else that you wanted to tell us?
So definitely just want to make sure that, you know, if you guys are interested in taking a look at the book, you can definitely check it out on my website. It's www.theletter and it's sonshine.org. We actually are going to be announcing later today some new bundle deals, some new sunshine deals. And so my late grandfather, today is actually the anniversary of him passing away, unfortunately, but he actually started Sunshine. And so he used to live with us. And so I used to call him Sunshine simply because he had these bright blue eyes. And so I always joke and say that when he passed away, a year later, I found out about my son. And so I always say that he sent me, you know, my sunshine. And so today, in honor of him, I'm actually going to be releasing some new bundle deals and things like that. So yeah, definitely check out the website. If you guys do happen to place an order with the book and it's a result of you seeing me on the Bomb Mob podcast, definitely shoot me a DM or something. Let me know. I'm more than happy to customize the book for you and sign it and address it to your little one. So definitely check it out and let me know what you guys think.
Oh, thank you so much.
On Facebook and Instagram, our handle is @UR, so the letter U, the letter R, MYSONSHINE01. So that's on both social media platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jaleesa. I had a great conversation with you today. You are welcome back anytime. Good luck with all your
for having me.
Of course. Good luck with all your future endeavors. I will definitely be looking out for that mom book because I need it. And I will also be looking out for your daughter book. I'm going to go order my copy of You're My Sunshine right now after we hang up.
Thank you so much. Super excited and looking forward to us talking more in the future.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye-bye.